sa bawat patak ng ulan. Pag-iinagis mo ang luha, ang ngalan mong tanging maghihila, ang ngalan mong tanging maghihila. Saglit na sulyak lang sa hula, naubos na ba mga bahala? Naubos na ba mga bahala? Naubos na ba mga bahala? Huwag kang lumingon, huwag kang bumitaw, hindi ka nag-isa. At sa iyong mga minimiti, mga iniisip, hindi ka nag-isa.
June and Paul show. It's on my wall, and just gotta keep clicking to share it with everybody else. So, how are you doing, JV? I know we haven't talked for a while. The last time we did that was on. Is it Thanksgiving or Christmas? Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right around the junction of the end of November, beginning of December. Yeah. So like I had my event before you guys, right? Because my first event of the year was I went to Fan Expo New Orleans.
Correct. Did you how did that go?
I didn't get to bring my June and Pulse show shirt, but I gave you a shout out at the end of my panel because they asked like, you know, what your channel is. I didn't even give you the name of my channel. I just said June and Pulse show.
That's awesome. That's awesome though. So I know the holidays. I think this is the first holiday after COVID. So in reality, it's really everybody is just kind of busy. I know our first show is supposed to be with our attorney, but June is still ironing that out. So our guest today will be Rex Tacadena from Downers Grove, Illinois. So how did that event turn out anyway? Pan out very well. You were in New Orleans, am I right?
I had a great experience with the city. I don't have a lot of good things to say about that organization that runs that thing. They messed up our schedule. So I wasn't able to come, so I had to do a reflight to get there earlier, and I didn't end up making it. So that first day on Friday, I wasn't able to do the panel, but I did panel for Saturday and Sunday, and that's why I gave you June and Paul show shout out. You know, so for about the geeks in the South, you know, in New Orleans. But I like the city.
Yep, I do too. I've been there several times. When I was actually stationed in Arkansas, I did drove from Arkansas to New Orleans, and you know, partied over there.
So the thing is, I got to see the beginning of Mardi Gras because a lot of people don't know Mardi Gras starts January with the crew of Joan of Arc parade for the locals, which was great. They got good food. It tastes like Filipino food.
Any event coming up your way on your panel?
Well, for people in the FMA community, remember the FMA World Festival was supposed to happen every 2 or 3 years, got postponed because of COVID. I'm going to that at the end of the month.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a busy end of February, and then March. I'm hoping me and Ron Baliki do a FMA panel in WonderCon, which is the second biggest Comic-Con in the country. So I don't know how that go. I haven't gotten a response yet from the committee to if it got approved. It probably most likely.
We have plans to do Florida, so that will be awesome, and also Chicago because both of us are also from Chicago.
Yeah, C2E2. Yeah, exactly. So
the June and Paul show, Taste of South Florida, was a successful event. A lot of instructors and guru from taught, and it's the first time that T1 showed up. And Bram Frank, that's the first recorded T1. So I know he's been on social media, but on an event teaching, that's his first time. So expect that to come out at the June and Paul show, bits and pieces on how we taught.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome because he looks like the He-Man Skeletor.
Yeah, I mean that will be awesome. If hey, you'll never know. Maybe one of these days somebody will pick up that character and maybe promote that in. We'll see. Well, you'll never know. Am I right, JV?
No, no, I never. Because you know what? Maybe we should tell Joe Arciaga because he's pretty much kind of like the editor in chief of like a Filipino
Yeah,
comic book publishing house. I mean, they already have FMA like base titles in Diwata Comics. Maybe we could add one, like a
yeah, we can have one.
Jewish Filipino martial arts dude.
Okay, so I think it's due time to bring Ray to the panel. How do I do that? This is the problem. Where do I find him? Participant. Admit. Okay. Ray. You there, Ray? Lou. He probably went on a. There you go.
Here. I am here.
There you go.
Yeah. My
Good
brother was
evening, Ray.
my brother was watching.
Oh, is that right?
He
That's
started
awesome.
laughing because he said he called you Rex.
So, how is the weather in Chicago? It looks pretty warm down there
It's
where you're at.
it was actually beautiful today. I think it was almost 50.
Almost 50.
Almost
Wow.
50. Yeah. So,
So
almost
where are you at? You're at
bikini weather.
are you at your basement?
We're in the basement. This is not really my basement.
But man's cave, that'll make your man's cave.
Man's cave, So how are you? You look great. You look great. I
Yeah,
haven't
I'm
seen you in
doing.
years.
Yeah, we haven't been hanging out for a while, but our friendship is very tight for a long
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
even though we haven't been spending time face to face, it's mutual understanding that
Yeah.
we are very, very good, close friends.
We're brothers, man.
Yep.
That's from
JV is also from Chicago. So hey, JV.
Hey, how are you?
Hello, I'm a California boy, but I worked there for a long time.
Yeah.
Because
He knows the area. Yeah.
I know the area very well because yeah, I can't say because I don't want to get in trouble and get sued by like big Fortune 500 companies. But there's a town there like Bloomington and then like Normal where like there's really only like 4 big companies that hire, right?
Yeah.
Like a good
I know.
neighbor.
Those are small towns too,
Yeah,
aren't they?
like a good neighbor. I can't finish it, right? And then the college, and then either you make the tires, like the biggest tires in the world are made over there,
Yeah.
right? And then or you work servicing any of those first 3, or you work in a farm.
Yeah.
Those are basically that's basically the local economy.
Now, did
Back
you grow
then,
up
yeah.
there?
Back then.
Were you born raised in Chicago
No,
Midwest?
no. I'm a SoCal boy, and then what ended up happening was I ended up working in entertainment industry. But first, before I was in entertainment industry, I worked in financial sector.
Oh, gotcha.
He's a
And
male gigolo.
That's what I was thinking. Entertainment. My gosh.
He's a
My
bomba
God.
star.
Boy, a bold movies, man.
where Ray, were you born here?
I was born in the Philippines, but I
Oh.
came here when I was 1. I
Mm.
came here when I was 1 years old, and but the beauty of it is my parents would always take us back home to the Philippines every 2 years. So every 2 years we would fly out to the Philippines for vacation. We'd stay out there 2 or 3 weeks, and by doing that, it allowed me to still engage in the culture, the Philippine culture, and learn it. Unfortunately, I didn't learn Tagalog like I should. I mean, I understand it.
But you do
As far
understand,
as-
yeah.
I
That's the main thing.
understand.
He does understand you.
I understand. I understand Ilocano. I understand, so I do understand it. So, but it's just speaking it back and not so good.
So before we start grilling you,
Oh,
tell our audience who is Ray Tacadena.
Rey Tacadena is, let me say, I'm a laid back kind of guy, right? I'm laid back, but I do also I'm eager to learn a lot of things. So I'll sit back, I'll stay quiet, but I'll watch and I'll observe. I'm really observant to see how people are acting, what they're doing. I think that's something that brought me, into brought me where I am now. It's just the type of person I am. Growing up with a twin brother, identical twin brother, it was just me and him, right? So we were always really close. It was just me and him. If things happened, you know, I was his backup, he was my backup. So we were always observant. We were always learning, and
No, no, tell the truth. Tell the truth, Ray. You're the backup.
he's the troublemaker. He starts fights all the
He
time.
starts fight all the time, and then
He's
he walks
always,
away.
and then I have to fight. It happened a lot, but that's how I am. I'm quiet. Ever since as a little kid, when we were younger, and I recall when we grew up in Chicago, we grew up on the north side, and we, as far as I could remember, even as far as third grade, I remember fighting all the time in school, and fighting in the playground, and always getting called, my parents getting called, saying, "Oh, you got into a fight again," and it was always me and my brother fighting people, and but my parents weren't ever mad at us because a lot of the reasons that we were fighting, it was either making fun of us or something like that. So they always said, "Did you beat him up? Did you do it?" And it was always a positive thing, not in a way that we should always fight, but that we were sticking up for ourselves and that we were protecting each other. So, um, so growing up like that allowed me um, to be more aware of my surroundings, also be protective of people that I know, and I think that's the type of person myself and my brother are, is we're very easygoing. We make friends with everybody, but we're also people that you don't want to cross. It's the quiet ones that you want to mess with, right? But it's also the quiet ones that don't want to start problems either, right? But when you do start a problem with us, it's go time, right? Right, Paul? Go time. I can't hear you, Paul. You're on mute.
Yeah, I haven't. We haven't been live for a while, so I'm uh,
My God.
relearning the Zoom, and they actually updated the Zoom. So,
Oh,
how did your martial arts start? I mean, when did it started? I know
so
fighting, but a real
a
formal
real
class.
form martial.
Yeah,
So let me tell you why we got into martial arts. My brother and I were very bad at sports, like basketball. Filipinos like to play basketball. My parents enrolled us in basketball and other sports. I mean, we were horrible. I remember one time we were in a game. We would beg the coach, "Don't put us in. Don't put us in." They finally put us in, and we scored a basket. First basket. We were so excited. But I was wondering why is nobody around us? We scored in our own basket.
basket.
So after that, it was around. I think we moved to the suburbs from Chicago around fifth grade, and my parents wanted to enroll us in more sports and said, we got to put you in some sort of sport, right? And I remember we were driving. We were picking up my mom from a hospital. She was a anesthesiologist, so we are picking her up from a hospital one time, and they were talking to us in the car about that. And we passed a karate school. It was American Karate, AKA American Karate Association. They said, what are you guys going to do? What do you guys want to do? And we pointed at the school. We said, we want to do that. He said, are you sure? I said, okay. So it enrolled us, and from the first time we started, we loved it. That's the first art that we ever did was American Karate, and it was in LaGrange, out in the west suburbs.
Oh man, that was far, Lagrange. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yep.
Yeah,
Well, we had moved from Chicago to Westchester, which is the neighboring town to LaGrange.
Lagrange. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the neighboring town. So that's where we saw it because we were driving around and we were picking up my mom from the hospital, and they said, "What do you want to do?" And we saw that school, and we said, "That's what we want to do." Um, After that, the school closed down, and we still wanted to go on. So they enrolled us in a Taekwondo school in Forest Park, Illinois, under Grandmaster Duke Lee. Um, and back then, I think he was like a 7th or 8th degree black belt. I don't know how Taekwondo is. So me and my brother started doing that, and we did that probably so from around 6th grade all the way up to our senior year in high school. We were doing Taekwondo, and we got our black belts eventually. I remember as lower belts, blue belts, it was always you guys are going to spar the black belts for testing, right? Because our teacher knew we were good, so he said, you guys are going to spar black belts and see how good they are in fighting you, and if they beat you, they'll pass their test. If they don't beat you, they don't pass their test. Needless to say, a lot of people didn't pass their test. And the thing too, a lot of times they would say, when they were going up higher black belt, they would have us have both of us spar them at the same time. So you guys, you have to fight both of them at the same time. Well, me and my brother always knew one go high, one go low. And and it was impossible. But that's how we started in the martial arts. It was always the traditional but that's back in the day. I mean, there was really
Well, back in
nothing
the
else
day,
known.
the karate and the taekwondo is a hard style. It wasn't like the wash down
And that's what I was
karate.
telling, when we opened our school, when we opened Counter-Strike here, and I started teaching there, I was like, I can't do what my instructors did to me to these guys these days, because I'll get sued, if
Correct.
I train them the way I was trained. And I think that's why a lot of the students now lost respect for their instructors. I mean, I remember cleaning the gym,
After class.
after
Yeah.
class. I'd mop before my teacher wouldn't have to ask me to do that.
Right.
I knew automatically I have to clean it.
Yep. And everybody knows their position and what they have to do. I did the same thing. So
Exactly. And then when here, I remember the first time I started teaching, and I pulled out the mop. I started mopping. Students are just standing on the mat.
they're not even
They
leaving the
wouldn't
mat.
no, they wouldn't even move out the way.
Correct.
And I'm like, man, these guys, and that's when I learned, the style or the way we were taught was harsh. It was hard, but we learned discipline. We learned how to we learned respect. A lot of these times they think they're learning respect. They're really not.
So you
And
went from American karate to Korean taekwondo.
to
Then
Taekwondo.
what happened
Then
next?
I stayed out of Taekwondo for a while, because again I went to COD. I mean, after high school, I went to UIC for college, and then I ventured off. I left martial arts for a little bit, because now my parents were really strict in high school, right? So they didn't let me go out and party. So when I went to
You
UIC, my gosh, I used to hang around only pote all the
yeah.
time in school. So then when I went to UIC, man, I joined like the Filipino club, and Filipinos like to party all the time.
Yeah.
And back then, you know, you'd have the parties at UIC or Loyola, or these house parties and these DJs and stuff. So I did a lot of partying. I still maintained like training at home, just practicing stuff, but I really didn't put my focus on it until I until we went back to COD. And then when we went to COD, and I said, I really got to start doing this martial arts again, and then watching different things, on TV, because I think when did we meet? Like 90, 90,
Early
90,
90s, I think. I
yeah,
can't remember now.
really early 90s. Yeah, I
Yeah.
went to COD to do some taking some other classes, and I think that's when I met everybody, and they started introducing classes, Aikido and all those other different other arts that weren't available when we were training as youngsters. I said, okay, let me try this out. Let me see what this is all about. And
So
then
by the way, for the
especially
viewers, COD is College of DuPage, which is in Glen Ellen, right?
yeah,
Glen Ellen.
Glen Ellen,
So
correct.
Glen Ellen. So yeah, back then in College DuPage, we were lucky enough that a lot of martial arts was being taught at COD. I mean, there was even a wrestling
Yeah,
during that time
yeah.
that
There's
we have a program. I mean, you can
wrestling,
choose
Aikido, yeah,
Aikido, karate,
yeah. A lot of different martial arts were offered there as curriculums. And I
and we're
think,
talking about these people who are teaching over there are high caliber. They're not, you know, they're not the,
yeah,
you know,
even
weak.
now I think the Aikido instructor, and she was a female, I believe.
She's a
So
female. Yeah, I like
yeah,
her.
she was an older lady, but she was teaching for a long time.
And,
And yeah,
and I remember the two of us being in Aikido, and people, some of the people, our friends, were us. They joined just to try the class,
yeah,
and everybody's going, any questions, and I will raise my hand,
yeah,
and she will call me to the front and throws me around,
yeah.
and then I sit down, and you raise your hand, and then all our friends goes, "Why the hell did you guys raise your hands?" I go, "Well, we want to feel it because
Yeah.
I want to make sure that freaking thing hurts."
Yeah, it's really working, right?
I mean, it
Because it
really
looks
worked. Yeah.
cool, but and that's the thing is, as once we got to COD, taking those arts and then meeting up with people that did martial arts also, right? I think you were Gojuru, was that
Gojuru, yeah.
was what you were doing at the time, and um and that's when we would get together and we would come to my house, and in the basement we'd spar, because you remember Jeremy.
Correct, Jeremy, yeah.
Jeremy was he was Taekwondo.
Taekwondo,
And I
yeah.
remember, yeah, he was Taekwondo, and I had a heavy bag, and I remember he was kicking it in the basement, and we were like, he was kicking the bottom of the bag. We're like, oh my gosh, he's kicking the bottom of the bag. But
Yep.
then we sparred him, and it was different. Like it was we were able to do a lot more to him than he was able to do us.
Well, the biggest thing about that was, I mean, some days I lose,
Yep.
some days I win, but it wasn't about the style, right?
No,
It was
no. We were
it
like,
was
well,
about
okay,
your
what do
skill.
yeah, what were we doing? I remember um uh him, and I think it was you or someone, but he did a spinning back kick.
No, it
And
was,
but who
I
was
think
it?
it was Eugene and I on the beginning,
Yeah,
and anything goes. You can
yeah,
except hitting the groin, right?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
he pounded me with Thai kicks on my leg.
Yes.
And after that, I can't use my Taekwondo or my Gojuru. And
Because
then after that,
we didn't know what Taekwondo we didn't know what Muay Thai was.
no, Eugene was the Muay
He
Thai.
was the
I
only
didn't know
one.
what Muay Thai was.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And
I
then
did.
we had dinner, and he explained what Muay Thai.
Yeah, yeah,
And because they fight straight on like this, I changed my side kick on an
yeah.
angle, and I did a spinning and hit him on
Yep,
the ribs, and he goes
yep.
down, and he goes, "What the hell kind of kick was that?"
Yeah.
I go, "Well, I
Modify.
modified it so I can drop you."
Yeah.
But it wasn't like my Muay Thai is better than your Goju. It wasn't never
It
like that. It
wasn't.
was more like I got lucky on that. I had a strategy and I pulled it off. And you never seen Thai boxing, so now you know.
That's what I think that's what it was always with us, is we wanted to see what worked.
And
It
then we
wasn't.
share. That's the beauty
Yeah,
about it. After, if you lose,
yeah. What did you do? How did you do
what did you
that?
do? We're willing to share
Yeah,
what it is.
exactly,
Am I right?
exactly. And that was the beauty of our friendship. Eugene was the one that I think when we met him was the guy that knew all
He
the
has the
arts.
most in his pocket. He has
Yeah,
the most style. He can switch like that.
it
You know,
was amazing, because I remember when I first met him and we were in the cafeteria, and he was telling about all these arts that he did, and then all of a sudden he pulled out a notebook, and he had just notes, like you look at these things like Bruce Lee has his notebook and drawings and stuff like that, and here's Eugene, the same thing. He had a book with
yep,
drawings and everything, and techniques, and I tried to read it. I'm like, what? But I didn't understand his notes because I wasn't
correct.
familiar with a lot of the things that he was doing in there. And I think he was the one that introduced us to Filipino martial arts. That
He
actually
was.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
he
was
was.
Lameco. Lameco is what he
Lameco,
he
yep.
was.
Well, I'm questioned because I'm trained by at least three of the backyard SOGs. I was
Mhm.
trained by Felix Valencia,
Mhm.
by Roger Agbolos, and Eric
Oh,
Coe.
I know Roger.
So the thing I gotta ask is who was his teacher in Lameco?
Well, he was training with Guru Ran for a long time. He was really good friends with Guru Ran, and I
Ron
don't.
Baliki? Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was where his lineage came from Lameco.
Mhm.
But that's where he was doing it. I know he trained because he trained out of Degerberg, and that's where
Yeah.
Guru Ran was out of as well.
What was Guru Ron still a cop at the time?
I believe he was. This
I
was
think he was.
early '90s.
I'm gonna share this link to him with because I do have a correspondence with him because I always bump into him in different Comic Cons. So
Yeah,
And
hopefully
to
yeah.
be honest with
He
you,
knows. Ask him if he Eugene Amante. Eugene
Eugene.
Amante.
Eugene is actually is the grand godfather of one of Don Inosanto's kids.
Yeah.
He's very close with with Guru Don Inosanto.
His kids with his kid with Paula or the first marriage.
With Paolo. I
Oh,
think with
okay.
because the one seminar I did was Paula was there, and she was. I mean, the first time I saw Inosanto at Dagenberg, it's just fast. I mean, I said this before when you met him before when he was back then. His neck is huge. How can you freaking put this guy on a headlock? There's
Yeah.
no way. I'm looking at this guy and he's fast.
Yeah.
You know, that
I mean,
really impressed me.
I mean,
And
he really did have a fighter's reputation because he was like a dojo breaker back in the day. Yeah.
and the beauty about that is, which me and Ray did, we were never afraid to go to the front and
Yeah. The dummy.
be the uke, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course. That's the
We
only way
get
you're
beat
gonna
up, so
learn. To see.
we can try. I mean, when Inosado start doing the Paksao Lapsao drill on me, it's just so fast. That's like, what
Yeah.
the heck?
And
You
it's
know,
funny. It's Guru Dan would always say, "All right, I'm gonna do it slow now," but his slow is super fast.
super fast. Correct.
He's like, "All right,
This
slow
was
motion."
this was
Slow
what in the
motion.
late 80s, mid 80s,
Probably early '90s.
early
Right?
90s.
The really early '90s. Because
Yeah, I have my notes somewhere on the dates, but
Yeah.
yeah, and back then Eugene, because he's so close to Inusanto, when you go to his seminar, all we did was actually after he teaches, we sit down and we write in our little notebook what he's teaching.
Yeah.
Because Eugene, I remember before, don't 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 take no pictures. No, he doesn't
Yeah.
want it.
No.
That's why we're like, come on, dude, it's Inosanto, you know. But no, we
Exactly.
never had pictures. I never had pictures with Inosanto because Eugene said no. He's I know him. Don't do that to him. Let the other guys be like, you know.
You know that's the funny thing, you know, because when you asked me to do this interview, you're like, "Hey Ray, you got pictures?" And I'm like, "Shit, I never took pictures.
We never had
I never
pictures.
took pictures anywhere, you know." I'm like, "I don't have no pictures, you know." So I'm looking for all the pictures that I have. I'm like, I don't
All
have
right,
any
I'm letting
pictures.
June in. I'm letting June in.
Okay.
Yeah, we never had pictures, dude. I mean,
No, and that's the thing is I did all the training, did all that, but no pictures. And I said to my wife, do I have any pictures? Do you have any pictures of me?
the
And
only
that the only
pictures we have is when we attend like a wedding and
yeah,
there's a
that's it.
party.
Even when we trained, we never took pictures.
We
Hey,
never
Because the
took
hey,
pictures.
camera,
hey, Ray, do you got like Gen Z kids?
yeah, my kids are only 10 years old.
So like the Gen Alpha? I was just gonna
Yeah.
say with Gen Alpha, they're gonna be like, "Hey man, Pixar it never happened."
His brother kid, Rex.
Yeah.
He's an awesome wrestler. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
yeah. You know the funny thing about that? His name is Kai, right? He's in college now, but he when he was young, he used to wrestle and he used to lose every match. Every match. Lost.
Sorry to
And
crash
then
you guys.
oh,
that's
oh.
June.
Hey,
Ray,
how's it going?
Ray June. He's also from Chicago. So
Nice. Oh man, this is like a
Chicago
Chicago
panel
reunion.
here.
Yeah, reunion, man. So,
Uh,
but his kid was always wrestling and lost until he went to high school. He said he's never going to lose again. And I mean, he went to state. You know, he finally went to state, didn't lose. He was wrestling varsity as a freshman. So he was
Well,
doing,
you guys had a good instructor, by the way, at the grappling coach
yeah,
at Counter Strike. So
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean, he ended up actually. You guys sponsored him to be in the U.S. Am I right?
yeah,
He
yeah.
ended up. He
Yeah,
ended up.
Daniel Wanderlei, yeah,
Yep. He ended up actually becoming one of the good coaches at UFC. So
yes,
our track record of
yeah,
I've been to UFC
yeah,
coaching fighters.
yeah,
And your school produced people
yeah.
that went to
Yeah,
UFC.
I
So
think when Coach Sonny was with us too, we went to Bellator as well. So
Bellator,
we
yep,
had a fighter that went to Bellator as well. So
yep.
which was really nice. So
And we did went to K1 and
yeah,
this and that. So I mean, we have people don't know, but we have resumes down the
oh
pike
yeah,
that people don't know.
Well,
oh
it's
yeah,
it's
So
it's cool that FMAers always had that interface with mixed martial arts. Because now, like in the West Coast, what's his name teaches a guy who fought in ONE FC. I forgot Belton, right? Right?
uh,
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and then you guys, right?
yeah.
And then when Weidman broke Silva's foot when he checked that kick,
Hmm.
his coach is a long time student of Guru Dan.
Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah. So the thing is, when they talk when he was interviewed, it's like, what was that technique they used when he checked the keys? He called it limb destruction. So he called it it's gunting. Called
Gunting,
gunting.
basically, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
it's
I think that's one of the things that uh, we were teaching one of the fighters at our gym was when he would check kicks, he wouldn't check it with his shin, he would check it with his knee. And I remember he would be fighting at some of these MMA matches, and when these other people would try to leg kick him, he would just use his knee, and these guys couldn't throw kicks anymore because they weren't used to catching a knee, or even when they're coming to the body, catching an elbow on their shin, because their shins aren't conditioned like a regular Thai boxer's is. And even I forgot who the guy was from Thailand that was holding a seminar at our gym. He even said, he's caught somebody's elbow with his shin and it hurts like hell, but they don't show it. They're able to take the pain. But most normal people that haven't trained their shins that long, they catch an elbow or a knee with their shin. That's it. They're not going to be able to recover from that very easily. So I think that's one of the cool things about Filipino martial arts that a lot of people don't realize is some of these destructions. Um, a lot of people associate it with Thai, or like it was weird with the sipa, the kick, the kind of like oblique kick. I
yeah,
think it's called sipa, right?
CPAP,
same,
yeah.
same.
Yeah, when
Tajak. Yeah, it's another one.
yeah, when they
Yeah.
started doing, who was it that was it Anderson Silva that was using that
Well, I
kick?
mean, Jones uses a lot, a lot.
Yeah,
John
yeah,
Jones
yeah.
uses it. Yeah,
But they didn't realize the
In
Filipinos
Chinese
used it a
terms,
lot.
that's G Tech.
Oh, G-Tech.
G
Okay.
Tech, yeah, in Chinese terms, yeah.
Yeah, because
Well, the
Bruce
funny
Lee
thing
used to
about
do
that
that
is
a lot.
the funny thing about that is when I never conditioned my kicks
Mm,
when I was Taekwondo or karate. It's
mm,
always just kicking in the air or kicking the bag
of course,
Mhm.
yeah.
until we start doing Thai boxing with Ajahn Chai.
Yeah.
But to counter that, Eugene taught us how to condition our forearm.
Wow.
Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
We're rubbing our forearm on sticks, and
Yeah.
Thai fighters will rub their shin. Filipinos will rub
Yeah.
their forearm because
Forearm, yeah.
we want to block it with our arm.
I remember when you used to. It was you that taught me when you're holding pads, if they think they're good, you kind of turn a little bit so that they
The edge. Yeah.
catch the edge. Yeah, I remember a guy came into the gym and he was saying, "Oh yeah, I did Thai boxing a long time," and I said, "Okay, I'll hold pads for you." After a few minutes, he couldn't. He says, "I can't do it anymore."
It don't swell a little bit.
Hey, you know who it was? It was Tode. Remember Tode?
Tode, yeah,
It was
Tode. Yeah.
Tode before. Yeah, he did
So
it.
actually, I'm looking at my history. 1992 is when we started hanging out at COD.
Yeah, that's right. 92 because
92.
Hey, so Ray, I gotta ask a silly question as a Pinoy American, right?
Yeah.
Do you live like the stereotype, like in that TV show, The Rookie, where You you'll have like 9 knives every.
You know what? As a matter of fact, I have, yeah, I I carry at least three with me all the time, and that's and you know I used to carry one. It used to be a collar knife, right? So it used to sit under my collar, and it was a thumb blade, but it was made of nylon. I used to carry that, you know, and the funny thing is, I started doing that, right? I'm sure Paul has told you that I used to do Sayak Kali, right? So I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna say I'm a guru. So what happened back in um, 2003 was when I got started in Sayak Kali, right? I was learning under Guru Jeff Chung. He was positioned out in the Midwest to do seminars out in the Midwest. Um, but but before I got affiliated with him, um, well, I think I did it with him first, one seminar here, and then he said, "Oh, there's a seminar out in Toronto." So I drove out to Toronto, and it was Tuhan Christopher Sayok that was holding the seminar there, and that was the first time I started doing Sayak. And I said, you know, I really want to get involved with this because I've always been interested in the blade, right? All the Filipino martial arts that I've seen prior to that was predominantly stick. It was stick, and this was touted as uh, um, all blade all the time, right? And and the reason why I was so interested in it is because the very first Filipino martial arts book I got was by Danny Nosanto, Filipino martial arts, and he was talking about how dangerous the knife was, but the movements were the same as the stick. So I was like, man, I want to learn something that's just blade. You know, I want to learn all blade. So when I saw this, I was like, ooh, yeah, I want to learn this. And I remember being cocky, like, you know, because I could learn pretty fast. And Tuhan was teaching the Three of Nine. It was it's called the Three of Nine. It's one of their templates, vital templates. And so he taught us it, and I was practicing it. And he called it. He says, "Who knows the Three of Nine? Who knows how to do it, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, I raised my hand. I know how to do it. I know how to do it, right?" He comes out. He goes, "All right, come up, show me." And I did it, right. I thought it was perfect, right. And then he's like, "Okay, do it with your other hand." And I was like, and I kind of like faltered, and I was like, he goes, "Okay, now I want you only to do the odd numbers because there's nine strikes." He says, "I want you to just do the odd numbers." So you're going to do the odd numbers. So then I couldn't think no more, right? Because he's telling me all these things. And he goes, "Now with the left hand, I want you to do the even numbers, the right
Even
hand,
number.
the odd numbers, right?" He goes, "Now I want you to do it in reverse. I want you to do the left hand reverse, but odd numbers only, right hand normal with even numbers." And I was just flabbergasted because I'd never thought about jumping out of the norm and doing that, you know, training something different. And then we went back home, and my guru at the time, Jeff Chung, said, "Hey, yeah, you know, there's a lot of different teaching methodologies that you'll learn. Like we used to do take a stick and we'd spin around till we're dizzy, and then do the knife work that way. We used to wear goggles that were foggy, um, and fight that way. We used to do mass attack, or we would do arm in a sling, or we would do one where we're holding a partner up, trying to support them while someone was attacking, and we were doing our fights with that. So we went to different realistic scenarios, and I really enjoyed the different aspects of the martial arts, that the Filipino arts that way. And you know, we used to, and people made a lot of fun of us because of, you know, we had so many blades on us. Like I mean, I'm not sure how many blades that they recommend that you carry, but we had, like, I mean, everywhere.
They
But
they
Everywhere.
they they they,
yeah,
they referenced that in that rookie TV show with
yeah,
that guy in Firefly. He like
yeah,
stopped Filipino, and then he there's a cop, and then he put his hand. It's just like, oh yeah, I got one in my necklace. Hey, can you get reach one in my belt?
yeah.
Can you reach one in my boot? You saw that? You saw that clip, right?
Yeah, yeah, yes. And you know, that's the funny thing is, you know, um, a lot of people thought, hey, yeah, we would never carry that many knives, right? But and I think some SIAC guys would carry at least three. I mean, I carry at least three with me because I never know where I'm going to which pocket I'm going to access it on, or where I'm going to access it. Not that I ever will. When I was taking my CCW, my CCL license,
Yep.
um, I remember I had a knife, and I was standing next to the instructor, and he kind of looked down at my knife. And he goes, "You're not going to need that anymore, right?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You got your your license now, right?" And I go, "Well, let me tell you this, right? Legally, and correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but I said legally, I'm not allowed to draw my gun and shoot anyone unless I feel threatened with my life, right? Like if I feel a threat that I'm going to be harmed, or I need to protect myself to draw my weapon, then I can legally, right?" I says, "But remember, if I wanted to take you, I'm not going to pull my knife from way over here, like from 10, 15, 20 feet away, and say, 'Oh, I have my knife, I'm going to kill you,' right?" I says, I'm gonna walk by you like I'm not even upset with you, and I'll draw my knife, and I practice my draw, and I practice where to strike, I practice this, I practice that. I go,
Yeah.
you won't have enough time to do that, you know. I go, a lot of people say, if you had, and this is what I always say, I have some students come in, right, and they want to learn the knife and stuff, and some people are watching, right, and they would say, or they would hear that I taught knife, and they would say to me, "Man, I just shoot you," right? First thing I'd always say to them is, "Show me your gun," and
Yep.
they don't have a
They
gun.
don't have a gun.
And I said, "Oh, here's my knife. How are you going to shoot me?" So if I
Correct.
pulled my knife, I drew my knife right now, how are you going to shoot me? You don't even carry a gun.
You don't even get correct.
You said I would shoot you, right? And 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 that's what I found funny is when people um, start learning about the knife, or thinking about the knife, they don't realize how deadly the knife can be. You know,
And,
SIAC. Go ahead.
and Ray, I mean, just to add on what you're saying, I mean, I didn't know that you're into to shooting now too. But
Oh yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
experience is everybody that I went through, even the expert that we met, are afraid of the knives. That's why they carry the gun. Unlike us, who knows about knives, we're not afraid of the knife.
No,
So we have no fear.
no.
I remember June and I was on the range, and the instructor goes, "Knife attack on at 3 yards." So everybody pulled their gun and shot,
Yeah,
right? Then the guy goes 5 yards, uh, uh, um, knife attack. I draw my gun, but it's in low ready. I didn't even shoot.
yeah,
And then if we
yeah,
go to 7 yards, I just put my hand on the gun. I didn't
yeah,
even draw it out.
yeah,
And then the instructor goes, "Look at all these Asian guys on the right. They're not even pulling the gun. They're not afraid because we are,
yeah.
when you have good training on knives, you don't have to."
Yeah. The funny thing is, you know, I think I've trained with the blade so much that that is my primary weapon, right? A lot of people who say and that's the thing, as a concealed carry, I don't even carry. I carry my knife everywhere I go, but I to be honest, I don't really carry my gun at all, right? And it's something maybe I should, but I feel more safe with my knife, my blades,
Yeah.
and I honestly do feel safer with that versus my gun, and it could possibly be because I don't train with my firearm quite as much as I do with my blade, so it's not like a second nature to me.
And it's not like you can just start drawing and shooting in your house.
Exactly, and that's a lot of things I worry about is how loud it's going to be, what kind of, if I'm gonna get discombobulated if I'm firing in there and it's so loud in an enclosed
Correct.
space, and all of that, and I really do enjoy the blade. I mean, I've also studied a little bit of a mock, um,
Mhm.
with Sotis, with him. Um, and then also with Mike Eugenio, we had what's the guy's name again? I have the picture there with him. From Forged in Fire.
Uh,
What's that? He does
Makaida?
combat. Yeah. Now he's not. He's gonna be like, man, he doesn't remember my name. But yeah, Doug Markaida. Yeah,
Doug, yeah. Kuya
yeah,
Doug, yeah.
yeah. He did Karambit. I know SciAx had a Karambit program as well that they were doing. It's something I still even now want to continue with. I love the SciAx stuff. I mean, I really do. Back
Well, I
then,
remember when I met you, and
Yeah.
I had, for some reason, I learned a little bit of the sayok, and then I asked you, hey, I got this sayok thing, and then you goes, well, that's when I found out that you've been doing sayok,
Yeah,
because we probably haven't
Yeah.
seen each other for
Yeah.
like what 10 years,
yeah.
and then suddenly we met each other. Go, what style are you now, Paul? I go, well, I'm doing Hirosa de Cordas, and I did a little bit of the
You know what's awesome is how you're doing Hirosa.
yeah.
I was watching the videos. Before you started, before you even mentioned it to me, I saw videos of him doing it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing, because I knew about Balintawak,
Right.
and that was really fast. But then when I saw those guys, I was like, oh my gosh, the speed that they were going at, and the different angles of attack. I was like, wow, and
And
I
that's
was
that's actually what attracted me to them, because
Yeah.
when I was doing Takosa Sarada,
Mhm.
I thought I was fast. I mean, me and my group were fast, and
Yeah.
we used to go Midwest to Florida and
Yeah.
look for people that we can spar so we
Yeah.
can test our Sarada.
Oh yeah.
And nobody can step up to the speed and power until I saw that video, and I go, you know what? I think they're a little bit faster. I need to learn that to
Yeah.
add to my arsenal. Again, it's not about which art is better. It's what's going to make me better. And I
Of
want to be
course.
that fast, right?
And I think I think it also depends on what attributes that you have that will complement
Compliment. Yeah.
will complement what attributes you carry, whether you're fast, whether you're flexible or whatnot, is the art that you should kind of focus on. I mean, I've tried some other stuff too. I said, oh, you know what, I want to try American Kempo karate and be like Jeff
Yeah.
Speakman and do all this, but that's a
Well, back in the day at COD, when we do share our art,
Yeah.
we don't hold back. We actually hit
No.
each other. I remember that.
Yeah,
I
well,
remember some of
it's strange because when I was teaching at Counter Strike, right, I used to teach. I helped Sonny teach the Muay Thai. I would do beginners class, right, and only one guy ever came to beginners class, right. He would always come, and I said, "All right, we're just gonna spar. Just me and you will spar." So we spar, and then he would go to the advanced class,
uh,
and then he would spar, and the advanced students would come to me and they're like, Coach, don't let us spar with him. I said, why not? He goes, he hits way too hard.
it's too hard.
He hits too hard. He's not holding back. He hits hard. And I said to him, that's because he comes to beginners class and only spars me, and I don't spar soft with him.
Correct.
So he was used to that. To him, that's normal sparring. Which would be normal sparring for us too.
For us too, yeah.
Yeah, but for students that are not accustomed to being put in that position, he was going too hard for them. So
Correct.
and that's the thing that was always great about us. We would hit each other, but there would be no hard feelings. It would be
What's his name? Urkel is usually, what's his name?
Mario.
Mario. Yeah, Mario.
Mario.
Man, he's the one who's always getting, because he's a, what, 6'2"?
Yeah, all muscles.
All
like
muscles
a
and
bodybuilder.
huge guy. And you figure you won't be able to, if you hit him soft, he ain't going to move.
No.
But I remember, he goes, that doesn't work. He goes like that to us. And I go, okay, so we did the 1-inch punch from this, am I right?
Yeah.
Hit the chest, his chairs
Yeah.
flew, right?
Yeah.
From the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And then he goes, no, I wasn't ready. Then he wraps his leg on the chair.
Yeah.
And then you went, boom, he flies again. He goes,
The thing
why
is,
the hell were you guys generating the power? And we're sitting down. We're not even standing up.
we're small guys, man,
Yeah.
compared to him. And that's when that's why we weren't ever afraid of anyone. And the funny thing is, we tell these stories, and they seem so over the top. When like people are listening and saying, and I'm saying, man, they're full of,
Yeah, they're bullshit. Yeah,
shit. They're full of shit. They never did that, right? Because it does sound over the top, right?
correct.
And one of the things that I did also is, um, after I learned the martial arts, I became a bouncer, right?
Yeah,
And I used to bounce at Circus Nightclub. When Circus first opened, I bounced at Circus Nightclub, Biology Bar, Dragon Room, um,
yep,
and I remember fighting all the time. And I was the smallest bouncer there. Back at that time, I weighed 145 pounds, 140
yeah.
pounds, and the bouncers there were all over 6 foot tall,
6 foot
right?
tall. Yeah,
And they're big, strong guys. And they would always say, Ray, kick that person out, right? We need to kick him out. But the reason why they asked me was because if they went to kick them out, they were so big that people would say, okay, we'll leave. They wouldn't cause a problem. But they knew if I asked them, they would always want to fight back. And then we would end up fighting, and everybody would have a big, good, grand old time, and we'd end up fighting, right? So they always wanted to fight. So they would always say, Ray, kick them out. I'd kick them out. They'd fight back. Oh, now we're all in a brawl. We're in a brawl. So, and it,
and
it
I think
became
that's
it became a test for us. It
yep.
was nice just to see how we could handle ourselves.
And I think that's one reason why I asked you the pre-interview if you were there when we had the fight at Excalibur,
Mm.
because back then I think me, Eugene, and my brother Ray was there, and we ended up fighting that night.
Yeah.
And Rodman ended up hiring me to bounce at Excalibur
Mm. Yeah.
on Thursday nights.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm the smallest one, and people are looking like, what, Paul?
Yeah.
But I take care of the job. I actually, I mean, no fuss. We do the finger locks that we don't even know back then, because Eugene are showing us the circle, the small jujitsu.
Yeah, I think that was who did that. Wally J. Wally J. Small
correct.
circle jiu-jitsu.
We were learning that early '90s.
I was learning. He's considered a Bushido now, but George Dillman. George Dillman, where he did the pressure points. I used to love doing pressure point fighting, and I always found it really effective. But I don't know why he went off onto the no touch and the esoteric and magical knockouts that he did. But
that's actually one of the questions I want to ask you, so for the viewers, because back then when you were showing me that stuff, because I know Gojuru and I know karate, but I didn't learn pressure point. When I added that pressure point to where I hit my Gojuru, suddenly I have another notch, another level on my arsenal.
Yeah,
and we used to hit each other and gonna go 1, 2. Okay, I'm not gonna hit the 3 because you're gonna be out.
Yeah, right.
But
and
you did knock out a lot of people at COD because they want to see if it really works.
Yeah, and that's the thing is a lot of people now they think, oh, this is fake. But I think I think what it was is they were they're thinking of it as a magical, the dimmak, the death touch, right?
The death touch.
Yeah, they don't realize there is medical reasons for that, like stomach 9 in the neck. I mean, you'll see videos on YouTube of a military hitting each other in the neck and knocking each other out, right? I think traditional Chinese medicine started using it as, you're using lung point and stomach point and, gallbladder point and all this stuff. And it became very magical, right? And then all of a sudden, George Dillman and some of these guys started doing this. All right, I'm going to knock you out now without touching you. I'm do the no touch knockout, right?
That's when you left them, right? That's when you stopped going there, right?
Yeah, this is, and I still do the pressure point, and I still see that it works. I still see that different controlling movements work with pressure.
Well, honestly, dude, the thing that you taught me, I'm still using. Actually, one of my student, Javier, when he visited me when we were doing the taste of South Florida, and he was here taking private lessons from me. He punched and I grabbed and I took the pressure point on the wrist. He goes, "What the kind of fucking grab is that?" I go, "You don't know pressure point?"
Yeah, yeah. A
You
lot
know,
of people don't realize that pressure points are
are
legit.
legit,
They're
legit. Yep.
legit. It's unfortunate that those people that were heading up the whole pressure point thing started going off into silly tangents, and now are considered crazy and fake, fake
Well,
martial artists. But
I know when we're hanging out, my main thing about when I go, who did you hang out with? I always say, well, I know the twin brothers, their pressure point. That's what
yeah,
goes in my head. It's not
yeah,
even karate. I was like, they are very good at that,
yeah.
you know.
I,
And then
and I,
Eugene is more of the, I say, the Inosanto blend, wherein
yeah,
we learn
yeah,
every style there is.
yeah.
I
That's the
remember
same thing.
before
Yeah,
I tapped just for a can opener,
yeah.
cracking the neck. And
Oh
now
yeah,
it's an easy escape. But
yeah,
back then we didn't know, because this is a can opener, Paul. I'm like, that
yeah,
fucker hurt my neck,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it was a great learning time for us. That's where I think we honed our skills. We got our skills, and it's weird, when I started teaching Filipino martial arts, I didn't charge a lot, right? Let me go back to why I left SIAC. Okay, so my instructor was Jeff Chung, right? He was with the SIACs for a while, and he decided to go off on his own, and started an art called Neo Tribe Kali, which was also blade
Mhm.
weaponry. And I was like, I really want to stay with SIAC, I don't want to go off on your art. I just started SIAC stuff, right? So I wanted to try that. But during that time period, we also, me, my brother, and my brother-in-law started a company called Smack Sticks, which was Safe Martial Arts Combat Sticks.
Yep.
Because we were doing Filipino martial arts, we wanted to train and be able to hit each other as hard as we could.
And I think back then when that came out, there's not a lot of padded stick yet,
No,
right?
I think the only one was Action Flex at the time.
Yeah,
But
I think so. So there's only you, and I didn't
Action
even know that was your company.
Yeah, yeah. It was us and Action Flex. Action Flex, their sticks was like a pool noodle. It was just flimsy, and
Yep.
we said we want something that is realistic like a stick, but you're not going to go home with broken bones, or you'll get some bruises, but broken bones, you're not going to get that. So we came up with smack sticks, and we introduced that to the SIACs. They were very they were they actually helped us a lot in getting it out to everybody, because they ordered a whole bunch, and we gave it to them, and they would use it at their events,
Event,
sama,
yeah.
and they would showcase this. Um, uh, we went to a lot of seminars. That's how I met. You said Roger Agbulos, right, JP?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the old Lameco style is best. That you have the tire tubing, and then you put a smaller diameter rattan stick.
yeah. So
To
what
me, to me,
happened?
to me, to me, that's the best format, I think. For
So what had happened was, there are some people that really love that, and the old OGs would use it without padded padding on themselves, right? But we hosted a lot of events like WeCaf, and here are these guys using the live stick, but they're not even
Swimsuit.
heavy stick, but they're fully padded. They got things on them, and they're just,
they look like Michelin man.
exactly. And we
Yeah.
said, what happens is when people fight, when they're fighters, they pad the weapon. They don't pad the body, right? Like boxers, they pad their weapon, right? And we said we wanted a padded weapon, but the Lameko sticks were great if you were able to do that, but you couldn't spar hard for very long and
I,
get smacked in the head very long.
well, I mean, I'm full disclosure. Lameco sticks is still my thing. You know
Oh,
what
of
I mean?
course, of,
Yeah.
of, of
Yeah.
course. I mean,
So
we don't even make the smack sticks anymore. That's been long gone. But we wanted something that newer martial arts were able to do, hit each other, still be able to do the disarms or the holds, and we had a padded puño, so you could use a puño and smack them in the head. Um, I know uh, Roger had a couple of them. Guru Ron had some. Willie Loriano. We just got him out to all of them, and and all these people were using them because it's something that they weren't used to. They were really using the Lamako sticks, right? Or they were using Action Flex. Those were the only two that were out there. Either a padded rattan stick or that. And so we introduced this, and it became very popular.
I
And
feel
then
that
after,
that's kind of the trajectory of what happens when you got like an art where you go from more like buge jutsu into more of a do.
yeah,
It's more like a war from back in the day, and now you're trying to do that so you can still entice learners because like the kind of stuff we used to
exactly.
do.
Oh yeah, they
Yeah,
wouldn't do it anymore.
no way, no way. Like you get child protection services or some shit like this.
Oh, that's why I couldn't teach some of my students the way I wanted to teach them because I would get sued. You know?
You know what I mean? It's different
Yep.
because I mean all three of us born in the Philippines, right? I came here when I was 12.
Oh, okay.
Antoine was like you were a kid too when you came here, right?
No,
Paul?
I was 17, 18 already.
Yeah. It's just different back then. Like, you know.
But one thing about attracted me with the reason why we built a very good relationship with Ray and with the other groups and also Eugene Amante, because even though they grew up here, they still have that Filipino
Yeah,
mentality.
yeah,
You know, I mean, that Filipino flair, it's
yeah.
there.
And it was weird because I think again, like I'm going back to when I grew up. You know, my parents would take us to the Philippines, and I remember waking up and I watched the interview that you had, Paul, where you were talking about knife. Some people have never even killed chickens before.
Correct.
I remember being a little kid and killing pigs with a
Yeah.
knife. They would wake me.
I've
My
I've
uncle
I've
would,
I've had that experience, so you and I share that
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
They would wake me up early in the morning. Hey, we're gonna kill a pig. Do you want to
Yeah.
come and
You
watch?
want to do the stabbing?
Yeah, yeah. They would hold, and they would give me the knife, and they would tell me where.
Where?
So
Yeah.
yeah, where to stick them and how to do it, and I knew how it felt, and the screaming, the pig screaming, it didn't, and it wasn't there to be animal cruelty, it was we got to eat it, we're gonna have lechon later on.
You had that Avatar experience like in the movies. Like you and I both had that. Like, remember in like the
Yeah,
Avatar movie, he had to like kill the animal. He was like praying and stuff. It's like, oh, I'm gonna
yeah.
eat you. You know?
I remember the one thing I wanted to do. I think it was in Texas. They had wild boar hunting, but with a knife. So you had they would send out dogs to go hold the boar, and then you would jump on the boar with a knife and um, stick him, kill the boar with the knife. So you'd have to have a nice long pig sticker. And I remember my instructor, uh, Jeff, when I was in SIAC, would say, "Hey, let's go do this," right? I never had a chance to do it, but that's something I really wanted to do because I wanted to see, I knew the boar had that thick plate around the neck, so you had to get behind that plating, and I just wanted to see how it would be, and I wanted to do it that way, something more dangerous versus shooting him with a gun. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'd rather do blade. Let me try that, but unfortunately, we parted ways and never had a chance to go with him. But
Hey Paul, I already know this is gonna be like really down on the algorithm. We're talking about like animal cruelty or whatever. When we post it on YouTube, it's gonna be like
oh,
the
what?
views is gonna be like this.
Yeah, it's okay. That's what the show is all about.
I love it. I love it.
So from Sayok, what happened to you said you don't sell the sticks anymore, the padded sticks. I think we lost your voice. Can you hear him, JV?
Oh, I can't hear him. What happened?
Hello, can you hear
Oh,
me?
I can hear you
Nope.
now.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. So there was only 5 of us in the company, right? And three were in Atlanta, 2 were here because my brother taught. So me and my brother we were considered. In order to learn SIAC, you had to either fly out and learn it, or start your own group, right? And there was no group in the Midwest. You had to have a instructor come out and appoint you as a leader of a group within your area. So I was leading the Chicagoland area for SIAC. So, and my brother was doing it in Atlanta. So when we started this company, this Smack Sticks company, they were based out of Atlanta. We were here. It was just me and another guy, and all these were handmade, right? And it took a little while to make them, but I think the company grew way too fast. You know, we were getting orders for 500 sticks at a time, and I was in my underwear in the house making these sticks, right? Cutting in my head, you know, my gosh, I had to work the next one, you know,
Yeah.
and we just couldn't handle the amount of people that wanted these sticks and the influx. We were supplying these sticks to Panama police. You know, they wanted to use it for their training. You know,
For
we
their
did
training.
everything from, you know, I don't think you know, they have before actual aluminum trainers, knife trainers, they had like little knock sticks or so. We had little padded knives and stuff that we would use as well, that we were giving in, and so they would use all this. We actually had what is that? Do I have one around here? We had we would do like tonfas, all different styles of that. But it's just it was too hard to do it, and we were doing SIAC, and you know, Tuhan and the SIAC clan was amazing at helping us get the thing up going. But then they wanted, you know, we made an exclusive brand for them. After that, we used to deal directly with Tuhan Chris all the time. You know, we'd call him, hey, he'd talk to us and stuff. And then when Jeff left, he appointed another instructor to us to work with us in the Midwest, and he wasn't very good. I don't even think he's an instructor anymore. I don't recall his name anymore, but you know, we kind of stopped with that, and because nobody would come out here anymore, and we're like, you know, this is a new guy that they're trying to get to teach us and to build his skills. But as Filipinos, we want someone that's good to come out. We don't want a new guy to come out, right? And especially if you're working with you know, with the Tuhan already, you're talking to Tuhan already. And I understand he's a Tuhan. He wants somebody else to you know, he has his ranking that would need to go out. I understand that. And so, you know, he gave us this Putte guy and said, oh, he's going to be the head of you guys. I'm like, you know, and one of the reasons why I was kind of iffy about it was because when we used to have our seminars out here in Chicago for SIAC, there were some guys that are even still in it now that would come to the seminars, and they thought I was doing it for a long time because they were not as good. You know, even though they've been doing it for such a long time, they've been doing it way longer than me, but their skill set wasn't as good, you know. And that's why I think we kind of said, you know, we're not gonna go with this new guy anymore. But come now to now, right? A few years ago, they said that they wanted to start new training in the Midwest, or they wanted to find new groups in the Midwest. Oh man, I did right away on Facebook. You know, hey, yeah, I want to start this here again, right? Yeah, but they never got back to me. I don't know if they were salty about what happened, or you know, about not wanting to go with them. But you know, I have a lot of respect for them. They're an amazing art. If I could, I would do it again and start it here. I would grow it quickly for them. And you know, I had a great group of people that was training here when I was teaching it. I remember once I left, another guy that was a student of mine ended up being the group leader, but he didn't know how to
operate it.
And it kind of fell through. And that's, even now you look for something in the Midwest, there's no one here in the Midwest. You know, and that's very hard to find Filipino martial arts in the Midwest.
Well, to begin with, in the Midwest, it's very hard in any martial arts to last 5 years, to be honest with you. It's always dropping. You can never maintain. If you're doing FMA, you know, it always drops off. So
I was,
well, that's the thing I want to talk to you about. I mean, us bonding during that time on the early 1990s, we're always into hardcore training, making sure we're learning the right way. And then suddenly, years now, we go to the present. You have people that you meet that they're saying they've been doing it for 14 years, 20 years. And then you look at the skill set, they're lacking.
They are.
And then you go, how did you get that rank?
Yeah.
How did you, it just doesn't, I don't know what it is. I don't, all I can tell them is I apologize, but you didn't learn nothing.
Yeah, I think it's because it's become a money maker, and 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 that's the thing. It's like when I was teaching, and they say, they're Filipinos don't know how to make money in martial arts because they don't charge enough, right?
Correct.
But for me, it was never about making money, right? I just wanted to be able to touch hands with somebody that I didn't know and learn how they feel, because a lot of times people take Filipino martial arts and you say, okay, you partner with him, and they're like, I don't want to partner with him. He's not good. He doesn't do it right. He's like,
Yes,
you know,
correct.
and I say to him, train with him. You have to train with everybody, not just the guy that works that feels good, because you're not going to come up against someone that feels good all the time. So if you're going to fight someone, you're going to say, "Do you feel good when we fight?" No, like you
No,
have to
correct.
understand their energy that they give you. You have to practice all sorts of energy, and that's one of the reasons why I always wanted to teach, was not to pass the knowledge on. That was part of it, but was also because I could learn different energies and
Well,
learn
we're
how
we're
people
kind of the
fight
same, right? You built the
styles. Yeah,
guy to become
yeah,
tough, so you
yeah.
can spar with him on a tough
Yeah,
fight.
yeah.
And
It was strange. I knew, like, every time I paired up with someone, or got ready to spar with someone, I would look at them, and I could feel whether or not they were good, or whether or not they were able to, if they had a proper energy. Or right off the first few seconds, I'd be like, okay, this guy is going to be good. This will be a fun time. Or
well,
it's not so
what
good.
happened to me is when I left Chicago and decided to take a job here in Florida, I actually end up opening a school where the SIOC is in
Oh, okay,
Naples, Florida.
okay.
But I think the year before that, they closed their school.
Hmm.
So I never knew what SIOC was. I have people
Yeah,
coming in and they're saying SIOC.
yeah.
Again, this is nothing against the style, but they come to my school.
Oh, yeah,
It's called the Screamer School of Martial Arts, and they say, "Well, I'm SIOC.
yeah,
We do knives." And I go, "Can I spar?" I go, "Sure. Why don't you come in?" But my mentality back then was Sarada.
yeah.
We go for
Right.
kill,
Yeah, and that's the
and
thing that,
they're saying they're certified knife fighters, this and
yeah.
that, and they
Well,
lose.
well, this is the
Wait,
problem,
wait,
right?
wait.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go
Let me
ahead.
finish.
Yeah,
And then I'm looking like, what the hell is Sayok? That's what I was thinking. What the hell is Sayok? Until somebody showed me Sayok. And then I went to Chicago and met you, and you go, "Hey, Paul, let me show you Sayok. This is the real one." And then when I saw you, I'm like, well, if I end up fighting you, that's the way you move, it'll be a different story.
and that's exactly right. So this is the problem, right? People are not thinking out of the box, right? They're learning a pattern and they're not applying it to a live, something live, right? Like real energy, right? They're practicing it with practiced energy, right? And the SciAcs try to teach that to people, but it's hard for people that haven't really had experiences like we had fighting, going hardcore. Like how I think the SciAcs put out a video a while back of them stick fighting, right? And they were going hard, no
Yep.
padding, nothing. They were going hard. I'm like, shit, we used to do that back in the day.
Yeah, we used to do that back in the
We used
day.
to. I remember running away from Eugene because he would be smacking the shit out of us,
Yep.
and I'd be like, and this is before we even learned it, and then we
And
started going.
we don't even have paddings. We don't have
Nothing.
paddings on the stick. It's live stick.
It's live stick, and we're like, okay, cool, and then and then that's the thing, is these guys, they don't apply, they don't know how to apply it. So that brings me to a story. I was studying with Sifu Matt Numrick. He did elite defense system. He was a full instructor under Sifu Paul Vanat
Uh-huh.
for the rat system. So we were there, and I had been studying SIOC for a little bit, right? And I remember um, well, before that, I'll go a little bit before that. I was working with him, and at his school he taught JKD, he taught Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and he taught Filipino martial arts, right? And they used to have they always used to have a summer competition where they would have kickboxing, they would have grappling, and they would have knife sparring or knife dueling. I like to say knife dueling. So they would, yeah, so they would do a knife duel, and they would have markers and whatever, right? And then so I remember doing that. I got third. I was the only one that did all three events. I did knife, the kickboxing, and the knife dueling, right? And I got first in knife. I got second in kickboxing, and then grappling. I got third place, right? And I remember I left there, and then I went and did SIAC, and I came back to the school again, right? And I said, "Hey, I've been learning SIAC." I asked him, I go, "Is that something that you would possibly like to incorporate into your curriculum, right?" And so he says to me, "Okay, I want you to spar this guy, right, with markers, right?" I said, "All right." I go, "Well, it's a little bit different the way I
Yeah.
do it, right now, because I've now learned. Because before we used to just slash everything, slash. You know, they love defanging the
Yeah.
snake, defang, right? Let's go, right? After they counted, right? Okay, this, right? And they looked. Everything was a vital target that I hit on them, right? Because my job wasn't to, cut him on the shoulder or, cut him on the forearm. Um, um, I would go right for vitals right away, vitals and back out.
Here's
Go
the thing that maybe I want to ask you. I mean, when people say defanging the snake, they always has this conception that, see, my interpretation of that is different. When I defang the snake, that means I'm going to hit your vital targets.
Correct.
That's
the way it
defanging the
should
snake.
be. That's the way it
It's
should
not-
be.
It's not cutting the tongue of the snake, which is holding the knife.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
it's been so much publicized, or they're looking at that in the wrong way.
Exactly. That's why they're not going for vitals, and that's why after that I was
Correct.
like, these guys are not.
So they cut your
finishing their
hand and then they
opponent.
move away, right? They cut the
Yeah.
wrist and they move away.
And
So
it's
you
still a
can't
duel.
counter them. But in reality, when I still remember this, Eugene always tells us, after you cut the wrist, you got to go to the neck.
Yeah. That's the thing is, and these guys, it was just, and it was willy nilly.
Yep. Correct.
Whatever, flail your arm, cut whatever.
Correct.
They had no, and that's what I learned when I was doing the SIAC was targeting, right?
And they don't know. I mean, here's the thing too. Have you noticed that a lot of FMA, when they spar, they don't actually cover their vital parts?
No.
It's exposed.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing when me and June sparred other people that goes, "Hey, let's go spar you." And I said, "Well, let's go. I don't care how tall you are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for the kill shot.
Yeah.
You might get my right hand, but it's not even the inner arm that they're getting hit. I'm getting hit from the outer, because that's what they're gonna get.
Yeah.
You should never give the inside.
No, that's definitely right. And that's they're cutting. Okay, cut my outside for them. I don't care.
We don't care. You can still hold the knife. It's not gonna drop.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, I think a lot of them didn't realize that they're because and I think it was because of new practitioners learning a stick and then being taught, yeah, this is also a knife, or this is also bladed weaponry, right? Which it can be, as long as your targeting is correct, right?
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong. The stick, you would want to go for harder targets, like the head,
Correct.
the head. Whereas the blade, you'd want to go for your soft targets, neck, other areas, stomach, whatever, right? You're not going to hit the stick on the belly. That's really not going to do much. You want the stick on bone if you can get bone.
Is it more the mindset, the mentality back then and now that's the reason why this is happening? Or is it because we get into too much drills that people test you to memorize drills versus concept that you can actually apply the drills.
Exactly. And I think Guru Doug Markaida went over something like that, and it was doing is it Sinawali, and saying they're doing it all wrong. They're not doing it realistically, or they're doing. I forgot the name, what drill it was.
Is it more like, see, I see this in some of my students when I tell them when sometimes they do Sinawali, they will be blocking the Sinawali instead of hitting.
Yeah.
You should be simultaneously hitting, and because it's Sinawali, it's gonna meet in the middle.
Yeah.
But supposedly both of you are hitting, not one guy hitting, one guy blocking.
Exactly. And well, the thing that I always tell them also is when you're doing this, you should be aiming for where your target is, not
Correct.
in
Not
the middle,
stick.
not the stick in the middle. You should be aiming for your target and then incorporate it into that way.
And eventually, if both of you are trying to hit the target,
yeah,
and you're doing the, let's say, collarbone to hips,
yeah,
and because you're far, you're gonna hit middle.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's one of the one things I really like, the close range aspect using the blade, but I also like, and even the stick, but I also really like the long range, like how Guru Abon Bayet does.
Have you done the Garimot style?
No, I haven't done Garimot, but because I know Mike and Guru Abon. Yeah, I told, I chat with him on Facebook. I've said, commented.
Well, the funny thing about that, to be honest with you, is we actually separated without even talking about going our own way. We just kind of go, hey, I'm going to pharmacy school, I'm gone.
Yeah.
All right. It's just understood. But if I actually was there when Jimmy Tacosa came into Chicago, and if I never met him, I will probably with Eugene and Eugenio to meet Abundio Baet in Chicago, because he's doing, the first time he went, they went to meet him. While on the same time, Tacosa was coming to Chicago, and I end up going to him.
Mm.
It's only now that when I joined Garimot, when I found out when Abundio posted a picture and I saw Eugene in there. I go, what the hell is Eugene doing in there?
Yeah.
And then you send me a picture with Eugenio, and I'm like, what the heck? You guys, I mean, just imagine if we never like broke that. Let's just say if we never moved on and we got stuck in college at COD, we'll probably all on the same still group, am I right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. I met Guru Abon back in I think it was 2004 maybe. We used to do a lot of seminars. We used to do something called, it was by his name was Merlino Hufana, and he used to have the Katipunans in I think it was in Florida.
Midwest, Katipunan in the Midwest.
Yeah. We used to go there all the time because we would supply our smack sticks when we were doing smack sticks. So we would go there, and I met that's where I met Merlino, Raja Bulos. I met Hufana. Who's that one guy? He's an older guy that does the really long stick.
Tapado?
What is it?
Tapado?
I think so.
Tapado.
Yeah, Tapado, yeah.
Yeah, he did that, and I remember he didn't have anybody, but nobody ever saw a stick really long like that, and he was doing that, and that's the first time I saw that art. There was a lot of who's
but
the
it's just,
Bakbakan instructor?
Oh, Bakbakan, yeah. It's just amazing how we started from just goofing around at College of DuPage, trying to test our skills, and now we became proficient in a style that we love.
Are you talking about GM Mike Vasquez?
No.
We're talking about Tapado.
I wish I have videos of him. I don't recall his name.
Jose Valencia 10.
He was in. Oh, maybe that's the one. Oh, hold on, let me see.
There's Mumar, right? Nono Mumar. There's Mike Vasquez. Lobrito, maybe.
Frito. Let me see here.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of
He,
those.
he was a really old guy back when I
It's either Nono Mamar or Mike Vasquez, probably. Yeah.
I'll find out. I'll find out. Um, yeah, but
So
that. Go ahead, Paul.
nope, it's blurry.
Oh.
So Ray, on journey on martial arts in general, I mean, what do you think if you're a parent and you want to put your kid, you go straight FMA? How do you process this?
I've always told, because a lot of people ask me because I owned my own school. They say, "Hey, I want my kid to learn martial arts, right? What do you recommend?" And I've always told them, um, you're going to want to introduce them, depending on how young they are. You're going to want to introduce them into an art that's going to provide them discipline. So I always say karate or taekwondo. You know, um, and I think those are the ones that will provide them discipline, and once they get old enough to understand the art, I don't think those two will give them fighting capabilities, but I think it will teach them discipline. So I always tell them to start their kid with that. But anything traditional first is something that I recommend. You know, I don't know if you caught that, Paul. You were gone
Yeah,
for a
yes,
little
yes,
bit.
yes. My video just went, but I got that. So actually for me, if they're very young, discipline wise, yes, taekwondo, karate. But as soon as they probably go on a teenager
Yeah, teenager.
teen,
Yeah,
it has to go to either boxing, Muay Thai,
yeah,
because then you have that perception. Because let's just say they become black belt at 11 years old, they have this thing now. They're going, I can fight anybody, and then suddenly they get beat up.
yeah. I have a friend that just got their first degree black belt. An older guy. He's probably how many? He's probably in his 40s. Maybe he got his black belt, and in I think it's Tang Sudo.
Ang sudo,
And
yeah,
I watched his black belt test, and I'm like, hell no. I'm
yep,
like, there's no way this guy could be a black belt. And then I see black belts in Japan, you know,
yes,
and I see them, and these are young kids these are some like teenagers getting black belts in Japan or Korea, and their skills are like way, 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 way beyond the skills that
correct.
that American black belts are getting. And I'm like, how's this happening here? And I think it's all because of money.
Money
It's a
and
way.
probably they're afraid because of the discipline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because here it becomes a babysitting or a
Yeah,
job now for karate instructors. It's not even, you know, what do you guys want to play? Tag. You're supposed
when
to be
my
doing
brother was
martial
in
arts, am I right?
yeah
And they're
when my
playing
when my brother
tag.
was in Georgia, he said, I'm going to take karate. I want to take
Yeah,
karate. He started off as a white belt, and he went in, and they said, do you know anything? He said, I don't know anything. I just want to start in the beginning like everybody else. And then he was sparring black belts when he was still a white belt, and he
yeah.
was destroying them. And my brother's like, what's going on? How are these black belts not able to do anything? And that's the thing, is I think it's that way even in Filipino martial arts, that are moneymaker arts. There are some Filipino martial arts that are small groups, or people that belong to these big groups but train in the backyard alone. There's a
Alone.
specific
Yep.
group of people that will train and do the hardcore way of training, right? Those are the guys that really know the art. And then you have those group of people that train the art, but they're not deep into it. They know the art, but they're not in the know. You know,
Yes.
they,
How,
they're not
what
in
do
the
we
know.
call those people? They know it, but in
They don't
reality,
really
they
know it.
can't fight. They don't
Yeah,
know.
they don't really know it. They just,
You know,
they know.
they don't emotion.
Yeah, they know
You
the
know,
motion, but they can't apply it, right? Because they're
correct. They
not
cannot
getting
apply
that.
it.
They're not getting that backyard teaching, or that click teaching where we're a bunch of friends. Hey, let's try this out. Let's fucking do this.
It's almost like JV. You'll probably agree with this because you did boxing, am I right? So you have people who probably took uh, Taibo boxing or aerobic boxing, and then they think they know the combination of jab, cross, hook, and then you have a guy who's only doing boxing for a month in the gym, and you're going, he's not even good, he's only a month, but you
Yeah,
pair them up and they spar. The guy who's been
exactly.
doing aerobic boxing for 5 years get destroyed.
I mean, people
Right?
don't understand how hard some people hit.
Yeah.
Like some people hit so hard they blow the seams of the glove off. Like that's like you're talking about like 1,000, like 2,000 psi almost, like type of, like,
Yeah.
especially if you're like a heavyweight or whatever. I mean, like I remember like this one middleweight cat came in and he was like, he's just born that way. I don't know, it's like muscle density or he knows how to, you know. I remember
Well,
getting
the
hit in.
biggest thing about that is in
Huh?
FMA right now, I I've seen a lot of people,
Mhm.
they don't even know how to properly hit to throw a number one. They know the angle where it's coming, but you don't even have to duck. You can just walk right through it. you know,
No,
I
man.
just don't get it sometimes. I mean, is it the instructor's fault? Is it the
No,
practitioner?
I think it's what Anthony said. Like, our friend Anthony, he was like, the secret is not in the technique. The secret is in the explanation. So the thing is, when Ray's talking about that backyard setting, that's where the explanation comes in. Particularly like FMA is very avuncular type of, or avuncular, like your uncle teaching you.
Yeah.
So that, like, not only would you have live sparring where it's just like, your life is on the line. Understand, like, did you teach you like the knife or the stick is kind of like a gun. You don't aim at something you're not wanting to destroy. And then there's always like force and violence of action and initiative
Yeah.
that when you strike it. So it's different from just like sparring in like a dojo type setting.
Yeah.
So when you have like kind of like a Dog Brothers type or that kind of Lameco type thing, and then on top of that, you're getting that one-to-one instruction. I don't think FMA can be taught mass. I mean, some FMA schools can because they come from like a more of a sport or cultural preservation type of mentality. But I'm talking about historical FMA from the last century. I don't think that can be mass produced
I
because
don't. I agree. I agree with you.
because
I totally agree with you.
you have to get the hematomas. Everyone here, I have an ankle one story. And my thing is like, Lolo, why did you hit me like that? Like I thought you loved me, type of thing. It's just like, no, motherfucker. Like you need to learn because in real life, people might want to harm and kill you. So you need to understand like how painful it is. And that's just a cylinder. That's not an edge weapon hitting you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
And that's
then
the reason why if they never hit you properly,
Mhm.
your partner never learned how to block properly.
Yeah.
No, and
It
then
becomes
that's
a wish
the
wash.
that
Am I
but
right?
the explanation too. Because that's where
Yeah.
that's where the secret is. Because you might know the technique, but the actual application of it and also how to teach like the next generation.
Yeah.
Because now it keeps on getting watered down. So my each successive generation is might be weaker and weaker as it go down the line.
I think that's what's happening with a lot of these martial arts, these Filipino martial arts that are getting really popular, is that um, that they're getting so big that the skill set is getting watered down. As more people become instructors, it gets watered down, and now it's not as good as the original core group ever was, because there are things that are not being taught, either because it's been forgotten or it was never taught to them before. So now it's losing its effectiveness as it goes on.
Or is
Especially
it
if it's all verbal, if it's a verbal type thing and it's not never documented, or or anything like that, as far as what was actually taught, you know. And that's why I think I was watching your video, Paul, where with your Hirosa,
Yeah.
your document, there was never names for, like you said,
Yep.
never any names for him. So for you to document that, so that there is a documentation of being able to transpose it to the next group of people, they know, even though there was never a name when you learned it, by incorporating naming conventions or something that they can remember it by, will allow that art to go on further. But then there's also the other ways that you learned, where you're actually getting hit and feeling the hit and
Correct.
doing stuff that they have to also experience, because if they don't experience it, that's watered down for them now, because they're losing that aspect, which I think plays a major role in getting good at what you're going to be learning. If you don't ever practice it the real way it was supposed to be done, you could learn it all on paper, and you can learn it on learn through master DVD, and
Yes.
you'll never be good at it, because you've never really felt that energy the way it's supposed to be felt,
Is it
and that's
also maybe the Western mentality that when you attain a certain rank, you don't have to prove that you have to relearn it again
yeah,
if you mess up?
yeah,
Because I remember us before, when you showed me some stuff, when we're practicing and I already know it, then I didn't do it right.
yeah,
I go back to the source and go, hey, how come it didn't work?
yeah,
Show it to me again.
yeah.
Versus now, when they get the rank, they probably have this thing on their shoulder going, well, I don't have to ask. I already passed that rank.
Yeah. Well,
You
a
know,
lot of them, they think, especially fighters. I think a lot of fighters, they become fighters, and then they think that they're better than their coach, because
correct.
coach is holding pads only. Coach isn't fighting. He's not fighting anymore. He's not doing this anymore, right? I remember at the gym, um, when we were doing Muay Thai, Sonny and them were getting ready to leave, and they're like, Ray, come out to lunch with us, right? I'm like, okay. I was getting ready for lunch, and then one of the students said, hey, coach, you want to spar me, right? And he was one of our fighters. You want to spar me? Kind of looked at him, and all the other students were watching, and Ross, my business partner at the time, was watching. Was like, oh shit, he just challenged Ray, right? And I said, sure, I'll do a round with you, right? I said, okay. So we get in the ring. He goes, you want some headgear, coach? I don't need no headgear. You should put headgear, right? So put on headgear. And I said, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want kicks, punches, everything? And he goes, we'll just do punches. And I said, okay, we'll just do punches. Not even 20 seconds he lasted.
Yeah.
His nose was bleeding already. Takes off his headgear. I wasn't wearing headgear, threw it off. And I said, come here. I'm like, you know why you couldn't beat me? I said, because you've got your freaking ego. I
Correct.
go, I'm not teaching you because I don't know how to do it, right? I don't do it because I don't have to do it now for you, right? I'm teaching you the skills that I know, but I don't teach you everything because you haven't studied with me long enough, right? After that, he says to me, a few years later, I saw him. He goes, Coach, I remember that time you beat me up, and he goes, that's the first time that I realized that, just because I'm a fighter and I've won fights in the cage because you taught us, because I won fights in the cage doesn't mean I'm better than you. I'm like,
Correct.
just because I don't practice with you, right, doesn't mean I still can't hold my own, that I don't train on my own still, right? And that's the thing, is that they get a few things under their belt. They like you said, they get their ranking. All of a sudden now they're the top dog, right? They don't
Right.
understand that we
And
got
they
to where
become
we are
jealous
because
with other people who
yeah,
suddenly are coming up the ranks and, on their tail
yeah,
and going, who the hell are these guys who's
yeah,
just only been here for 1 month and now he's getting
exactly,
the same rank as I am? I go, well, he's better. He's
exactly,
practicing every day. He's putting his
yeah,
time,
yeah. I used to
while
tell those
you,
guys
yeah,
all the
yeah,
time, hey, could you take beginners class? I know you're in advanced class, but come to beginners class. I'm the only one that teaches, and there's only one other guy. Come to teach. It's always nice to go over your basics, Like,
yeah.
come on.
And they
No, I'll
always
just go advanced
downplay it.
class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what they don't understand is, in reality, if you can't hit with an angle 1 and an angle 2,
Mm.
3, 4 to 12 ain't gonna happen because your 1 and 2 is weak.
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. So based on all this that you've experienced, I mean, you've done. I know for a fact that you were into pressure point hitting or knocking out people with their pressure point. You have karate, you have taekwondo. I know you did tang sudo, you did aikido. By the way, before I finish that, a lot of people are saying aikido doesn't work. Right now, I remember us going on aikido at night just to spar the black belts.
Yes.
I will do agree. Yes, we can beat up the black belts in aikido.
Yes.
But I have aikido, and if you spar me and I
work.
use my aikido, it's gonna work.
Yes.
So
you know,
for you,
a lot of I was just actually watching a video on that, surprisingly, and it was whether aikido will work in real fights. So this one guy decided to go to a jujitsu school and see. He was an aikido stylist and wanted to see if he could apply jujitsu in a BJJ school, starting from standing up. And
from
the
aikido,
aikido guy couldn't pull anything off, only because the jujitsu, and it depended on the skill level of the practitioner, because the white belt was purely defensive, right? And aikido is a, in a way, a defensive art. You apply it to the offensive or the
correct.
forward action of your attacker. Whereas now he's sparring a white belt that doesn't know, all he knows how to do is defend. So he couldn't apply these techniques because every time he tried to do Korigaisha or a different Aikido move, he couldn't do it because the guy would pull away.
Pull away, correct.
Whereas he needed the energy going forward. But as the ranks went higher, it started working because now there's more forward pressure movement, and he was able to pull off some of the techniques. Bear in mind, it wasn't the way Steven Seagal looked, where it would look really cool and that, but it was in a way a form of the.
It becomes a rough fight, am I right?
Exactly, a rough fight, but he was able to pull it off, and I find that, because I've tried it too, grappling with people, and you could pull it off.
I pulled it off.
And
the only problem is every time I use aikido to a jiu-jitsu, I feel like I'm cheating because the locks that I do are so basic.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I always want to go, that's so easy, he'll tap. So let me not do that.
Yeah.
Right?
The thing is, I really do still like aikido. I think it looks cool. I think there are some arts that would apply, and I think you could apply it in an actual fight against somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. If it was just
dude, Steven Seagal's favorite move, that sucker hurts, dude.
Yeah.
If you get hit with a freaking,
clothesline, it's basically
clothesline.
Yeah.
People
and
don't.
the thing
people
is,
don't know.
I think it would work. I think it really would work. But it wouldn't work if you square up, like this. If somebody grabbed you and like, then you could apply it. There's certain times you could apply it, but if it's
it's only situational.
Yeah, exactly.
The thing is,
because
it's funny.
They're so used to grabbing the hand. If aikido end up grabbing beyond the arm, like judo, I think it will apply.
It's funny.
But that's what separates judo to aikido, because aikido it's mostly wrist.
Yeah. If
they do practice hitting, but the problem is hitting a chop. I mean, I don't know how far you went in aikido, but I remember joining her to go to Peoria, Illinois, to learn the sword. That was fun, dude.
Yeah.
Learning the sword on aikido. I mean, the real application of sword.
It's funny. It's funny that you all talk about it, because I'm really close friends with Haruo Matsuoka, which was Seagal's longtime uke.
Oh, really?
Yeah, wow. We're very close. We're very close. We go to the same temple. full disclosure, I'm a practicing Buddhist. So he's y'all saw him in all the cigar movies. He's the Asian guy that
the short
cigar,
guy, right, with the
the
longer
short
hair.
the short Asian guy who cigar throws all the time with those clothesline. He's also the actor. If you ever saw the movie with Mark Hamill, the Guyver, the first Guyver movie.
Yes, I seen the Guyver. Yeah.
He's the guy in the Guyver suit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
we talk about that, how traditional it is, because like his knowledge about it is like kind of that Aikido, that particular school, but he also took like the more traditional like Aiku Jutsu, which is more of a holistic type of thing, because they go over weapons like, you know, you have your shinai, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have your short sword. So it's more like a holistic like FMA type of thing. So if we view it in the lens of more like the even older Aikijutsu, where it came from, mixed with like basically like pre-Kodokan Judo, essentially. Then it is an effective killing art, because it's no longer about peace. It's not the Moreshi Yushiba type of mentality anymore.
Exactly.
Correct.
You're thinking about it like you're a samurai, and then when you do a ippon, you're trying to throw that guy's spine, like, you know, his spinal compression to the ground, trying to nail him to the ground. Because you know how when you do a ippon, when we think about that, you're trying to pin the shoulder blade to the ground, right? Because you do a usotogari or whatever.
Yeah.
No, like the old samurais, like they flip you so that you yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that your weight compresses your spine, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So if we think about that, it's very different from what it evolved into, which is like you're thinking more of like peace and more esoteric concepts.
Yeah.
You lose kind of like,
it wasn't battle. It wasn't made for battle anymore.
You're trying to take someone's soul, like you're trying to take someone's life, you know?
Yep. Yep.
It's very different.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's what happened because of now, and I think that goes with all martial arts, even Filipino martial arts. I think the teaching mentality was different. You know, you hear of the old masters that talk about when they were younger and they were getting into these what is it called,
Fuego todo. Yeah.
Yeah, these fights. You know, actually seen I've only seen one actual challenge match um, from I don't know if I should say his name.
You don't have to say the name.
He showed me his video, right? And he's someone that I know. He's well known in.
Is it in Luneta?
What's that?
Was it in Luneta?
No. So he showed
Not
me a
that one?
video. It literally took him. The match only lasted 1 second, and there was a guy, I remember, he was showing his style, and this guy came up and the guy was saying how good his style was, and he said, okay, show me, and he challenged him. Literally 1 second, pop in the head. That was it.
That was it. Yep.
That was it. Finished.
Don't, yeah,
that was it.
People don't understand that. I mean, you know, that's why it's very, really very important that the guy you're paired up with really hits you the way it's supposed to be. So you really need to know if you can do the inside block, the outside block, your cross block. Will it really hold? Because if it doesn't hold, that means there's something wrong. You know.
Didn't you guys used to do that when you're training? You'd use a baseball bat and swing at them, and they'd have to know how to block it with your stick. Yeah.
Yep. When I did Sarada, I was always been hit by a baseball bat, full swing.
Yep.
And I have to do the cross block and the high block. It's better not collapse.
Yep.
You know. And now I have students that I'm hitting them with a mini baseball bat, and they're scared. I mean, I'll share it because again, Javier went to class to here to learn, and Javier, I'm just, you know, so people will see what's happening, am I right? Not because I'm downplaying my student, it's just because he's learning. Yeah. I told Javier, did you get the technique? Did you get it? He goes, yes. Now let's go test it. So I took my mini baseball bat and I hit him a couple of times. And then I go, okay, rest a little bit. The second round happened. And I can see in his eyes, he's already have fear. I go, why are you scared? I go like that. I go, you know the angle that I'm gonna hit you. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
change the angle.
It's gonna be the same angle.
Yeah, it's the same angle. Well, he survived basically, and I said, you know what? I didn't even give you 100%. That's only 50%. So we went out to lunch, and he had chicken breast or chicken wings, right? Eating, right? I see his hand trembling like this. I go, what the fuck's wrong with you? He goes, well, with all that shot that you gave me, my hands are still shaking. I mean, I know I'm laughing, but in honesty, after that situation, now he's a better FMA practitioner.
Of course. Of
And
course.
that's what I want. I told him, you know what? Now you know how it feels. And just imagine now when I was going through it,
Yeah.
that's every day. That's how we're getting hit.
Yeah, they don't realize the training was different. It was different
Correct.
back then. Well,
And
that,
and the, and then the power becomes faster and harder.
yeah.
Until you get it, until the guy can throw it harder anymore. You
See,
know,
I think that sort of training that we did still exists, but it's only within small groups like
small group.
JV's group or or you and
And that's
June
actually what
training,
impressed me when I saw Sayok when you showed it to me. Honestly, I wasn't impressed when I saw it here in Naples.
Yeah.
And this is where the source supposed to be, right? This is the home base.
I
But
think
again, they are the students, so I don't know what rank they're at that came to my school.
yeah.
But it was so different when you showed me. I was like, okay, if I'm going to learn Sayok, I would rather learn it to you, Ray, than
Yeah.
here in
And
Naples.
I tried, I would keep it true to the art. I taught it the way it was, but then I would also um, get input a little bit of my experience without changing the art.
We changing it, correct?
Without changing the art, because I don't want to change the art, but I want to incorporate the knowledge that I've learned through my experiences before to make it a little bit more effective and more realistic for them, right? Now, but mind you, I wasn't the best one. I've only been running my group here for like 2 years or so, right? And and I would learn through my instructor, and he was a great instructor as well. But um, that's the one thing that I want to get back into it. I see some. I don't know how good they are now. The instructors are now, right? And they may be great. I don't know if a lot of the Tuhans that were in there, because when I was doing it, Tuhan Tom was still teaching normal people, right? Tuhan Rafael Kayanan was still
Mhm.
teaching. He was still going to seminars and teaching. Now they're off doing their own things. I don't know if they're off doing movies or whatnot, right? But but the people that are now heading the organization to spread the art, you know, I know there are some that are really good, right? There are some that were still doing it when I was doing it that are really good, but there's students that are now in charge of lower ranking students. How good are
Correct.
they, and
Yeah.
how are they compared to the old school people, and the way they trained,
If you're
and
given the opportunity now to get back into teach Sayok, will you do it?
I would if they would let me do it. The problem is this, right? I see a lot of the things that are like. I think one of the things that would be harder for me now is my family, because I have two young kids, and then traveling a lot because now I would have to go places. I would have to travel to different things, and it would take a lot of money for this,
Yep.
additional money and income. They're
And I
not
think,
they're not a very affordable art, and one of the reasons why I stopped being a group leader is when I was a group leader, I used to charge students, very cheap, right? But the only reason why I did that, I have no place to teach. I would rent out a dance hall to
yeah,
teach there, so the money was only for me to be able to pay for the dance hall so that
correct.
I could teach them there, right? That was what the income was. If there was any more than that, I would use it for my training so that I could in turn teach my students as well, right? So it wasn't anything else to line my pockets and say, oh yeah, now I'm making a huge business. I'm going to do this. It was never about that with me. I
Well,
just
yeah,
wanted to bring as many people as I could so that I could do it. But
I
I think
think the
that's one of the
mindset.
things that would hold me
I
back.
think the mindset. I've changed my mindset already because I mean, the two of us had opened a martial arts school.
Yeah.
Basically, the foundation for mine was FMA.
Yeah.
Muay Thai is the one that paid for the bills,
Yeah.
but FMA was my passion.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, uh, I got to the point now that I value my time and I have to charge you. I'm prime. I mean, if I paid all this masters when I was learning, and I paid full price,
Yeah.
plus the drive, plus the extra things that you have to give them, gifts and whatnot, right?
Yep.
Why will I lower down the price for my students? I'm just lowering down my value. So I changed my mindset. Maybe this time, Ray, you need to probably
You know
think
what?
something.
I learned that because when I was charging cheaply, right?
They ignore you.
No,
They go.
they don't.
They
Some
don't
learners
show up.
they don't show up to class because
Correct.
it's
They
not
don't
worth
show up.
anything to them, right? And that's exactly
So
right. They
charge
think,
them prime rate, and
yep,
then
of
then
course,
they're
yeah.
gonna see the value,
Well,
and then you
the
become
reason why I stopped was because the organization at the time, SAC, says you can't charge them.
yeah. But
You
if you're
can't
given the
charge them.
opportunity, you're willing to go back
Yeah,
to FMA.
yeah. And the thing is, they were like saying that I couldn't charge, and I was, I was always concerned about that because, you know, so in essence, I'm teaching them what I know for free,
Yep.
you know, and where they could learn the art for free. I might as well not be the leader then, right? I might as well just find someone that's going to be the leader paper and then teach me, and then I could pick it up. And I'm a
Correct.
quick learner, and I could, you know what I mean?
Maybe one of these days, dude, we have to collaborate. So when maybe I do a little seminar in Chicago, or maybe we can talk to Sonny. We can do a dual seminar at his gym.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That'd be
two
great.
FMA.
Yeah.
So we're going on 2 hours now, Ray. So
Oh
this is a
wow, my
very
gosh.
nice conversation. We barely touch.
We didn't touch anything, dude.
We didn't touch anything. I mean, we this is like almost like
Your your
just
your your brother's Rex, right?
Yeah, yeah. How'd
Yeah,
you know?
he seems like he likes our show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's my identical twin brother.
I
yeah.
see.
The one thing that
He's a troublemaker.
I always remember China Club. Went to the bathroom. I saw Rex. It's all smile. You come back and you go, we gotta go. I go, why? I just dropped 3 people in the hallway.
Time to
And I go,
go.
why the hell are you fighting in here? I thought we had a condition. It's not me, bro. It's my brother Rex. I have
Sorry.
to finish the fight. And I thought it was me.
Yeah, that's right.
It's always like that.
Yeah, all the time. I
And I
remember one
remember,
time.
I mean, I know we're closing the show, but I remember when we did the house party. I don't know if people
Yeah.
still do house parties nowadays, but we were bouncers on a house party, and this one dude really wants to fight this football guy, the quarterback. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah,
So I finally got fed up because they keep arguing inside the house.
yeah,
So I took them the yard. I go, oh yeah, you're gonna fight. I go like
yeah.
that. Took him out, and you guys were circling him already. And I go, it's you and I. Let's go do it since you want to fight. And the guy goes, I don't want to fight you. Well, I thought you just want to fight. You and I will fight.
Right?
Yeah, yeah. And he
Oh
didn't
my
fight.
God.
You
No,
know,
no. Well, because
and,
we were never afraid. We did, and that's the thing is, I think a lot of people have, they act tough, but then when they get challenged, then they realize they're not really as tough as they say. I mean, that happened at my work.
correct.
Someone challenged me, and I just looked at
And
him, and I'm like, are you serious? You wanna do this? And
and
then,
honestly, when we did bounce that house party, we end up teaching the girls too
yeah,
how to defend themselves using a
yeah.
pen.
Yep. We also taught them how to frisk properly
Frisk
because we
properly.
we
Yeah.
had to frisk all the people attending it because it wasn't really a safe party to to be attending, right?
It wasn't a safe party, correct? And that's the reason why we were hired, because he wasn't
Yeah.
sick.
Yeah. he
So
wasn't
we're the
sick.
only one who took the job.
Yeah.
And I still remember after we took the job and we get paid, we
Yep.
called the cops. He
Called
goes,
the
"Hey,
cops.
there's a house
Raid this
party
place.
going on here."
Yeah, a bunch of drugs, all this
On the
stuff.
drug. And then we went to we ate breakfast at Omega. Is it still it's still
Yeah,
there? Is it
still there. Omega's is still there.
Yeah. The Greek
Yeah.
breakfast place at
Down the
that
road.
was fun. Hey, we gotta do this again, bro.
Oh yeah.
We barely touch FMA. It's like, mostly talking about stuff that we didn't really get into deeper.
Next time, give me the questions so we could prepare.
Well, I didn't give it you the question because I figured this will be just overview
Oh,
of
yeah.
the stuff. But I really want to get into uh, figuring out what the heck's happening with FMA. Why is it a lot of people out there are getting all these ranks? They're more into levels, but really the skill set is not there.
Yeah.
And then the people who have the skill set, it seems like they don't even want to share what they've learned.
It's because I kind of got sick of teaching because these people would come in and they wouldn't want to put the effort in, even though it was simple effort. I teach them something. I says, well, I want you to practice when you get home. You only see me twice a week. I go practice when you get home so that when you come back to class, or you come back to our come back together, we could practice and you'll know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what you're doing, I don't want to have to show it to you again. Because we're gonna keep doing the same thing over and over and over, and we'll never progress
See,
unless you practice.
that's why we became good friends, dude. I said the same thing to people. I go, well, you're on your drive from your house to my house, you better be driving and going to your head what the heck we practiced last week, because I don't want to teach you the same shit again.
Exactly. That's why I used to, when I was learning SIOC stuff, I used to be walking in the hallway at work doing all my stuff, and people are like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm just practicing. I practice whenever I could practice, and these
Maybe
people
one of
don't.
these days, we'll figure something out. Maybe we'll do some Midwest gathering, or I think they don't do the Katipunan anymore.
No.
I think after Chris passed away.
Yeah.
So I
Didn't
think
Mike do? Didn't Mike?
no, it was Chris before with Defensor,
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
but he passed away. So
When Nate passed away.
yeah, when Nate passed away. Hey, did you ever meet Nate?
We knew each other when we were younger, dude.
Oh,
Our group used to fight against each other. We used to, yeah. He used to laugh. He says, "Yeah, we used to, be against each other."
well, people probably don't
funny.
know this, but back then in COD too, most of the people we fought with are our fellow Filipinos.
Exactly. That's why
We
it's
don't get
weird.
along with them.
Oh yeah, that's why Nate and we didn't get along back in the day. But as we got older, we became friends.
Back
So
then, when I was learning Sarada, he was recommended by Jeff Ramos for me to meet him because he's very good at Largamano.
yes.
But I never met him. So now I have some of his students who are learning from me. So it's just too
When
bad I
knew
never met
Nate, he
him.
wasn't. I don't think we were doing FMA yet. When I knew Nate,
Yeah.
it was way. It was. I mean, this was back in the was it 90s, way early 90s.
Probably late 80s.
Yeah, maybe around then. So he wasn't doing any. At least I didn't know of him doing any more. I mean, we never fought or came to blows or anything, but I know our groups didn't
Get
like
along.
each other. Yeah, so.
Well,
but
I know
never-
our group always get along.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Not unless we go out at night. That's when trouble happens.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Hey, we'll do this again, bro. JV, I know you're a little bit quiet because it's
All
but
reminiscing.
we're reminiscing our
No, I mean
uh,
it's your personal thing.
martial
It's your compadre. You got to take the lead. Yeah, I wasn't there. I was a little child back then. You know what I mean?
How old are you?
I'm 39.
Oh yeah, you're still young. You're still young.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're Paul. What are you? 56 now? Paul?
Dude, no, 45.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting up there. So
Yeah.
hopefully I can pass my knowledge to the next generation or whoever wants it. That's my goal right now. I mean, my
You have to
fighting
train your
days are
kid, right?
probably done, but
Yeah.
I mean, I can still fight.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know, I mean, you know, it, it's just people don't know. I mean, in a lot of the Filipino community here in the U.S., because I went away for a while and went to Thai boxing.
Yeah.
Just the same as you. How
Yeah.
come they don't know you, Ray?
Yeah.
I mean, people should know who you are because you are a very good practitioner, not only on Sayok but in any other thing. I mean, fighting is fighting, right?
Mm.
I
It
mean,
is. It's yeah. It is what it is, and there's only everybody like what do they say? Everybody has two arms or two
yep,
legs. You can only punch a certain number of ways, or you know, I don't
yep,
care whose art it was that originated it.
correct.
Um,
I
um,
mean, when we did it in your basement, it's karate versus
yeah,
my Goju versus Taekwondo,
yeah,
and then Eugene's multi-style,
yeah.
and then next thing you know, we make a strategy uh, trying to beat Eugene because it's multi-style, and we found this book called Drunken Master. Honestly, dude, me and freaking Ray
Undefeatable style,
practiced
man.
the Drunken Master with, the old book with figures, and we freaking beat the shit out of Eugene. And he goes, "What the fuck kind of style is that?" He goes, "That's the Drunken Master."
Drunken master. Oh my
Okay,
god.
Ray.
All
Thank you
right.
for this. We'll set up another interview. Maybe in
Yeah.
a. By the way, I'm going to the Philippines in 10 days. So
Oh,
yep. So
have a safe
anybody,
trip, man. Yeah.
yeah, anybody who's
I'll be in RP at the end of the month. We're gonna go see something. We're gonna go to a FMA World Festival like Hans Island, like Enter the Dragon. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Oh,
So we're
dang.
gonna kind of me and JV will meet up there. We'll probably do some interviews and whatnot.
All right, cool.
So for our viewers, you will see Ray again. Maybe next time we'll do Ray and Rex.
Yes.
We'll
You
we'll
get
put
to
Rex
meet
on the
the
hot seat.
troublemaker.
He's the troublemaker. We actually just want to learn the art. He's the guy who goes, "Let's test the art."
Yeah. He
But I'm
set
not
up
the one testing it. I'm gonna give my brother to,
he sets up
to
the
do the
fights,
job.
right?
So
Okay.
so for the viewers, thank you for a lot. I know I haven't been watching it, but uh, uh, Guru, GM Toronto, Rex. Oh, Rex Tacadena's there, Javier, and the other folks who were. Brian was there too earlier. Thank you guys for watching, and Ray, we'll schedule this again.
Yeah. We'll
And
go more
thank you.
into the arts.
Yeah, don't leave yet. We'll just stop the live feed.
Okay.
Live feed.